Okay. All right. Thanks for joining us today, Horatio, to talk about today's topic of fire ceremonies. So I guess I'll start out by asking you, what is the purpose of a fire ceremony? What actually is it?
Hello, first everybody. The fire ceremony is one of the, I will call them shamanic practice, and not only, which is designed to develop a connection between the one who are making the ceremony and let's say different other realms or different other conscious beings, also with the purpose of developing a more conscious communication between these different realms, also with the purpose of offering gratitude for the help, and in some situation also for asking help for different intentions.
Okay. And what is the process from preparation through to conducting the ceremony through to closing it? How do you actually do it?
First of all, I remember that you wanted also to ask where from is coming.
Yes, the origin
as,
story. Yeah.
as a as a practice, practically is globally. It's not one specific place. The way I'm doing it much more in connection with what is called the North American tradition. It's also very active. For example, many people know about the Indian style Arti or Agnihotra, which is very common also there, and also in many other places they do this quite a lot. The one that I'm doing is very much inspired from the North American tradition, plus some few things that I design according with my own preferences. As a preparation, first of all, I recommend the people to either to choose a new place, either if they want to use an existing place, to clean first the place, if it's on the ground, to clean the place very well. So either it's done on the ground, either in some situation can be done in a design, I don't know, pot or something. Either sometime, if there is no other possibility, it can be even something like this, very small, which can be ceramic or metal. So it's not important the size, it's important to be able to do it. And then according with the possibilities and situation to choose which version is best. But what is important is that where it's done to be clean. So I will explain more the version when it's done on the ground. And in that situation, I recommend to be done a circle of stones, both traditionally wise and both fire protection wise. So the fire is not spreading. My personal preference is to be some stones which not necessarily need to be very big. This much, more or less, plus minus. It also depends what you have. If they are big, you just use big. If you have small, you just use what you have. And also, I like to put them in such a way that they are touching a little bit each other. So there is a connection between all of them. As a number, if somebody wants to bother with that, you choose the number which is significant for you. If you have some knowledge with numerology or something else and you want to make a specific connection. But that you do it only if you have knowledge with that and if you want to do it in a specific way. Some people also, when they do these kind of things, they also bother with the orientation towards the cardinal points. East, west, north, south, and how they are facing the fire and things like that. That again, if you want to look into that, you are welcome to do. If not, I will say do it in such a way that when the fire is burning, not all the smoke is coming on you, because that will be quite unpleasant.
Makes sense.
And it's very good from my point of view to keep only one direction from where you access the fire. So you don't access the fire from all places, only one place, there where you create kind of like a connection, bridge, portal, or how you want to call it, and only there you communicate with the other side.
So you should stay still during the whole ceremony in that one position?
I will say like this. If there are several people doing the ceremony, it's good to make a circle also around the fire. A wider circle, so again, it's not too hot or not too much smoke. But when they want to connect with the fire, they will come, doesn't matter where they sit in the circle, they will come and connect with the fire only in that specific point. Also, I recommend that the one who is managing and handling the fire to be the one which is conducting the ceremony, or maximum to have one extra helper, which will be the firekeeper. But nothing more than that. So not everybody is putting some wood, tending, doing something. So no, it's either the only one who is conducting the ceremony, or maximum one more helper, which will be in charge only to take care of the fire, what is called a firekeeper.
Is there an optimal number of people to participate in the fire ceremony?
It can be one, or it can be, doesn't matter how many. There is no specific number. Can be, doesn't matter how many. Also, if the people in the ceremony or somebody want to help the one who is conducting the ceremony to prepare the wood, I recommend everything to be done next to the stone circle, so nobody is building up the structure. So you put tiny wood starters, you put a little bigger, or whatever. So separate piles, and then the one who is conducting the ceremony or the firekeeper, those are the one who are literally building the fireplace, the fire structure, and then the one who is conducting the ceremony is the one who is starting the fire. And from that moment on, either him and the firekeeper are the only one which are touching the fire. So this is the setup. From here, I usually use, again, a specific way to do it. I use very often something like this, like a pot or like a plate, also depend how many people there are in the ceremony, where I encourage everybody to put some offerings. I will use 3 kinds of plates or bowls like this. The first one, it will be dedicated to what I call the divine connection. So there it will be offerings which are given for what we consider our higher spiritual connection, our guides, our protection, our helpers, things like this, depend who have what. But I will say start first with what is the highest of the highest of the highest, whatever name you put into that, if you put a name or not. So first for the highest of the highest connection, and then in connection with that, everything which it is from the highest realm. And
so for those people who don't already sort of identify with a higher spiritual power, what should they do?
They don't have necessary to have an identity to that. They say, this is for what is the highest of the highest, even I know it or not, but I'm doing this especially in purpose because I want to develop a connection with that. And through this practice, I want to see what is happening with me, for me, and if it's relevant for me. So actually it's very good to be done even for somebody who have no connection at all, can be done by anybody. It's very simple, doesn't have to have a specific practice before this. It can be done only a practice on itself. So it's very simple and can be very revealing, let's say. Very rewarding, even if that's simple. Most of the people also underestimate the result of this kind of ceremony.
And should they verbally invoke that, set that intention, or should they think it?
Yes, I will explain in a minute. First, I want to explain all the pots. So the first one is for this kind of connection. The second one, I call it for the people in the ceremony. So therefore, either it's one person which is doing for itself, either if there are more people involved in the ceremony, everybody should put something on the second bowl for themselves. And then is the third bowl, which I call for the others. And the others can be relatives, friends, lovers, which are not in the ceremony, can be alive people or can be dead people, or can be any people that we don't know, like a collective consciousness or things like that, for a nation, for a city, for a region, for a forest, for any kind of other beings, but not for the one which are in the ceremony. So any kind of others and any kind of other beings, human or not, alive or not in a 3D shape. And then I recommend that every person is putting on each bowl, I will say minimum 3 items. And not necessary to be the same items in each bowl. So you can put 3 things on the first, another 3 things on the second, another 3 things on the third. From there, you can put as many you want. These 3 things, I will recommend to be things that burn quite easy. So I recommend to be cereals, any kind of beans and pulses, dry fruits, any kind of vegetable parts, flowers, leaves, nuts, seeds, anything that you already use in your daily life as a food or not necessary to be edible, or any kind of parts that sometimes you can just find looking around in the nature that you feel inspired to make as an offering. In some extreme situation, there can be also some fresh flowers, but I don't recommend to be a lot of them. And usually these I recommend to be put in the end to just give a beautiful shape. So actually you can create it as beautiful you can, and as beautiful you want the whole thing in the pot before you offer it. Or if you want, you can make it in a plate and you can create a mandala. So in this way, everybody is coming and they have in their hands, and don't have to be a lot, just how it's called, a handful, a small, a pinch. So you take some, you focus a little bit to say, if you want, you can even put an intention and a gratitude or something that you want to ask, and then you just put it into the respective bowl. And then you go to the other one, and then everybody can come around and everybody's putting where they have to put. And then when everything finished with putting their part, then the one which is conducting the ceremony is taking them and put them in front of the fire on the place where he decide or she decide to make the connection, the bridge or the portal, or how I call it. And then putting them on the ground, or it can be on a piece of cloth to be more like an altar. And then from there, at some point, he will start to give that to the fire. Beside this, if some people want, and I also enjoy to do this many times, it will be beautiful to be creating an extra altar. Either in the same place, either on another place, somewhere next to the fire or a little more far away. And I encourage to be done as beautiful can be and as creative can be. It can include, how it's called, stones, building a structure with stones, fruits, flowers, again, nuts and things. And there it will be good also what you put, to put something which is edible, and later on the people will share what is there, either directly around the fire in the end, either they will share between them when they leave home to enjoy them later. They will be charged with the energy of the altar.
What is the altar for?
Say again?
What is the altar for? Like what purpose does it serve?
The altar in general, it's also what we will call a connector, or I call it sometimes a mirror. So it's reflecting the connection. It's a place of connection, or how it's called a hotspot, or a meeting place, meeting spot. So it's a place where different dimensions are meeting in the same place. So therefore, it's easy to establish a connection in this way, because when you create that also with intention and emotion, and also with thinking about something. So obviously, when you create that, you create an energetical connection with that something.
Mhm.
So therefore, it's good to have also that, also the fire.
So does everybody bring their own bowl of offerings for the fire, or
No. There need to be only 3 which are used for everybody.
okay,
What is important is that everybody bring, let's say, 9 items. So 3 for each.
and they
So that,
combine in the bowls? Yeah.
yeah. Or somebody bringing all together and then they take from there and then they share together the whole thing. Here it's also about the creativity and inventivity of the people and what they have easy at hand. Don't have to be very complicated. Also, they can be used also spices and medicinal plant
Hmm.
and plants with a pleasant smell.
Are there any particular spices or medicinal plants that are effective for the ceremony, and do they change between the 3 different stages, the 3 different bowls?
Regarding the metaphysical properties of spices and herbs, there is a huge science. So also with this, it depends how much everybody bother to study and what kind of benefit or result they are expecting and wanting to trigger. So it can be done randomly and intuitively, or it can be done as a result of study and clear intention.
So what happens after the 3rd bowl is emptied for the loved ones and friends and community? What happens then?
Now, so first, all the bowls need to be ready and prepared
Mm.
and in front of the fire. Beside that, I recommend that the one who is leading the ceremony to have, I would say, 3 more other things. This is the maximum. The minimum is 1. It will be, I usually have a paper bag where I have a mix of all kind of pieces of plants that I find in the nature and I collect in my walkings, or sometimes if I don't have that, I mix different kind of teas. But it's important to have a mix which is quite a good volume. And again, can be some with good smell, some with specific properties, can be spices, can be simple flowers, anything. And these are designed, I use them to, let's say, to initiate the process, let's say to purify the fire, and to kind of open and close one specific chapter.
Mhm.
The first bag, I call it the multi-purpose. Beside that, when there is possibility, it's good to be another one, which can be smaller, where there are some plants which are more specifically picked, which have a much more pleasant smell and much more properties for purification and energy expansion. And then there is the third category of what I call it special, which will be things like Palo Santo, white sage, copal, and all kind of resins like frankincense or things like this. So things which obviously have a very intense smell. Every time when you use a very small amount, and these you keep them for a very specific and special moments. So multi-purpose, special and very special. If the special and very special is not there, it's not a big deal, but at least the multi-purpose should be there.
Mhm.
So when you have all these things prepared, when you have also the altar, if you want to make the altar, when the fireplace is already set up, then it's the moment to start the fire. After the fire is a little bit stable, it's the moment to make a common prayer for opening the space.
Mhm.